One of Marvel's very first comics had to be reprinted because kids emptied the newsstands, and today a single surviving copy can sell for millions. In this video, we are going back to 1939 and walking through the first 10 comics that built Marvel, from Human Torch and Namor to Captain America's war punch straight into Hitler's jaw and the wild, forgotten heroes around them. If you're into comics and nerd content like this, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. In 1939, Marvel Comics #1 hits newsstands as a 10-cent experiment from Timely, built by the Funnies Incorporated studio. Its legendary Frank R. Paul cover promises fire, mystery, and danger, and kids respond so hard that the first print run sells out, forcing a massive second run. Only later would fans realize this single issue quietly launched the entire Marvel universe and became a multi-million-dollar holy grail for collectors. Inside, Professor Horton's synthetic man bursts into flames the moment air touches his body, giving birth to the original Human Torch and his lonely struggle for control and acceptance. Namor the Sub-Mariner rises from Atlantis to punish the surface world in furious tidal attacks, while the Angel and the Masked Raider hunt crooks on land, turning this wild pulp anthology into a rough blueprint for every Marvel hero who would come after. Daring Mystery Comics #1 feels like Timely Comics testing every wild idea at once. It is a grab bag of Golden Age energy built around Fiery Mask, a doctor who gains flame powers after fighting a bizarre plague creature. Around him, you get John Steele as a hardened soldier of fortune, Texas kid playing Robin Hood on the range, and even sports drama with a star player trapped in a crooked football fixing scheme that could ruin his season. Fiery Mask and the rest never became icons like Captain America, but this issue is still huge in Marvel history. It was Timely's second real superhero book, packed with work from early Golden Age creators and topped with an explosive Alex Schomburg-style cover. Today, collectors chase Daring Mystery Comics #1 as a scarce experiment, the weird, rough sketch of what Marvel storytelling would become once the hits finally arrived. Mystic Comics #1 dives harder into pulp weirdness than straight capes and tights. It opens with Flexo the Rubber Man, a gas-powered robot stretching his body across skyscrapers to smash crooks, then jumps to the flaming blue blaze rising from a grave to fight masked killers. In between, Zephyr Jones rockets into deep space, and explorers stumble onto hidden terrors that feel halfway between horror magazine and wild sci-fi serial. Dynamic Man's origin closes the book with a synthetic man built in a lab stepping out to police a world on the brink of war, echoing both pulp detectives and early android heroes. Edited under Martin Goodman with a 10-cent cover price, Mystic Comics #1 feels like Timely throwing monsters, robots, and cosmic quests at the wall. That offbeat blend of chills and capes foreshadows the stranger corners of later Marvel stories. Red Raven Comics #1 tells a full pulp origin in a single issue. A passenger plane crashes into the hidden sky kingdom of the Bird People, leaving one human baby alive. Raised among winged warriors, the boy grows up to become Red Raven, armed with mechanical wings and sent to the surface world to fight evil. His first mission pits him against Zilmo and Ratoga, crooks hoarding stolen gold while a city sinks into unemployment and despair. The story throws everything at him, from an aging gas pit to a vibrating death machine he escapes by lifting off the floor and turning the crook's own treasure against them. Behind the scenes, this August 1940 comic was edited by Joe Simon with early art from Jack Kirby and lasted only one issue before the numbering turned into the Human Torch, making Red Raven Comics #1 a famously scarce early Marvel key for collectors. Human Torch Comics #2 looks like a sequel, but it is really the first solo book for the android Human Torch. After Red Raven Comics ends with a single issue, Timely keeps the numbering and hands this new series the vacant second slot. Printed in the fall of 1940, it opens with Professor Horton's flaming creation racing across city skies, hounded by gangsters and nervous officials who fear he is a walking disaster. Alongside those blazing scenes, the issue packs in Namor the Sub-Mariner, the Angel and Fiery Mask, putting the Timely roster in one book. Stories bounce from underwater revenge to street-level crime, turning the fire and water clash between Human Torch and Namor into a hook. Early art by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby gives it energy, and the series would run into the 40s, pairing Torch with Namor and Captain America in Marvel's Golden Age. Captain America Comics #1 opens with the image of Captain America punching Adolf Hitler months before the United States enters the war. Inside, Steve Rogers is rejected by the army until a secret project turns him into the perfect soldier. In a cramped lab, Dr. Reinstein gives him the super soldier serum a Nazi spy attacks, and Steve's first act as Captain America is stopping the assassin as the formula dies with its creator. Beyond that origin, the issue throws Captain America into bold war adventures with Bucky Barnes at his side and an early version of the Red Skull as his masked enemy. Joe Simon and Jack Kirby pack the pages with explosive layouts and a loud patriotic tone that hits like propaganda and pulp at once. The debut becomes a huge seller, starts a long Golden Age run, and later turns into one of the most valuable comics in collecting history. Submariner Comics #1 finally gives Namor the Sub-Mariner his own stage after he steals scenes in Marvel Comics. The lead story retells his origin in more detail, following the half-human prince from the halls of Atlantis to the surface world his people blame for attacks from above. He rips through warships on the waves, torn between loyalty to his underwater kingdom and a growing curiosity about the world he keeps trying to punish. Backup stories bring in the Angel and other mystery men, but Namor dominates every page as a raging anti-hero instead of a clean-cut patriot. The series runs through the war years with submarines, Nazi plots, and bold covers of Namor smashing enemy fleets, lasting into the late 40s before superheroes fade. Later writers keep reaching back to this first solo comic when they want the raw, conflicted core of Marvel's earliest anti-hero king. All Winners Comics #1 lands in 1941 as Timely's all-star anthology, throwing Human Torch, Namor the Submariner, and Captain America into one explosive package. The Alex Schomburg cover is a war poster, with heroes tearing through Nazi forces and selling 10-cent wish fulfillment to kids watching the conflict in newsreels. Inside, each headliner gets solo missions against saboteurs, spies, and enemy agents instead of a formal team-up story. Those fast, punchy adventures helped All Winners Comics run through the war years and laid the groundwork for the later All Winners Squad super team that would finally unite these icons on the page. Behind the scenes, writers like Stan Lee and Otto Binder and artists including Joe Simon and Jack Kirby cycle through the title, turning it into a Golden Age showcase that Marvel later raids for reprints and deep continuity callbacks. Young Allies Comics #1 shifts focus from adult heroes to a scrappy kid gang led by Bucky and Toro. The opening story throws them straight at the Red Skull and even Adolf Hitler in a wild propaganda romp, with the boys foiling a Nazi plot and turning captured weapons, tanks, and planes back on their enemies. Each chapter leans on speed, slapstick jokes, and cliffhanger danger, proving even sidekicks and street kids can hit back at fascists. Created under editor Stan Lee with art often linked to Jack Kirby's studio, the book quickly becomes a wartime hit and runs 20 issues through 1946. Modern readers also notice the harsh racial caricatures, especially in the way Whitewash Jones is written and drawn on the page, making Young Allies Comics #1 both a key milestone for Marvel's early teen teams and a sharp reminder of the stereotypes baked into Golden Age comics. USA Comics #1 arrives in 1941 as another 10-cent patriotic blast from Timely, this time led by the Defender, and a pack of fresh mystery men spread across the issue. The headline stories pit them against spies, saboteurs, and masked villains working to soften America before full war breaks out. In the middle of that noise, Speedster Whizzer makes his debut, racing across panels to stop bombs, swing fists, and outrun enemy bullets. Other features introduce oddballs like Major Liberty and Rockman, the underground secret agent created by Basil Wolverton, giving the book a stranger edge than the straight Captain America tales. The series runs 17 issues through 1945, with later numbers spotlighting Captain America himself, turning USA Comics #1 into the starting line for a whole bench of patriotic heroes that Marvel would sometimes revive decades later. That was our trip through the first 10 comics that built Marvel from the ground up. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, Tell me your favorite issue in the comments and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive.